I am Bessy, and Bessy Martinez. I live here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I am a photographer and social media strategist. I know those are fancy words, but I come from about 6 years of photography experience. I still photograph them, though I do have that business as well as my social media and branding business. But I primarily do families and high school seniors and that sort of thing for that. So I've taken basically everything that I have learned with my photography business, and I've kind of pivoted into the social media and branding. Why did I pivot that? Well, I came across a lot of small business owners, female business owners, influencers, bloggers, that were kind of, needing some encouragement when it came to their images that I would take for them. And so I wanted to be able to utilize everything that I have learned in my photography business and how to be able to help other business owners develop, and be able to show up not just online, but also in their lives. Because I'm a firm believer that both our businesses and our personal lives kind of sometimes roll over one into the other. So that's basically a little bit about, how I transitioned into social media and branding. My company, like I said, is called The Social Company. One of the things that we do at the SoCo, or the social company, is it's a small boutique, meaning I don't cover everything that a social media and branding agency does. I primarily focus on specific things for marketing. For instance, building your brand voice, social media content, photography, headshots, everything that falls into creating content. And then we also sit down on one-on-one coaching to build a strategy based on where you are in your business. If you're fairly new or if you're wanting to rebrand, kind of work those details out. And also, just kind of getting you acclimated with other business owners that are on the same journey, the same path as you. So that's why I wanted to make it a boutique, because I really wanted it to become a community of like-minded business owners, that, there's enough for everybody, in my opinion. And I think when you're in community and you feel that support of your community, then you start to, the journey becomes a little bit less daunting. And I completely understand that social media can definitely be a headache. I can tell you that right now, I have come across so many business owners, especially right now during this time, that are looking at social media like a task. And so I have stepped in to try to ease that and assure them that it's not a task, but that it's part of being a business owner. And so I welcome you guys here. Thank you so much for having me. And so, I will kind of break it down a little bit. So there's probably some things that I will say that you're familiar with. That's great. I'm just touching base. So that way, for those of you that have heard it and never seen a different perspective of it, that I will be here to be able to shine some light onto that. So what is a brand? So we have a tendency of presuming that a brand is a big organization. Companies like Coca-Cola, Mary Kay, Doritos, Apple, those are brands, but they are organizations. So what a brand is basically when you see them, either it's their logo or you hear their name, something about them and how they represent themselves is how they familiarize with their community. So a brand for business owners, smaller business owners such as myself and many of you online, you all are also a brand. Now, you're either a sole brand or organizational brand. And what that means is that you are creating a memory, you're creating an emotion, you're creating, some sort of connection with your ideal client. And so every time they hear about you, the name comes up, then they can identify it for being a specific something. I'll give you probably the easiest example I can give you, the social company. The reason I chose the name, the social company, was for its actual straight to the point reasoning. We are a social media and brand marketing agency. So when you hear social, you already know that the social company is going to be social media related. And so when you see or you hear the name, it's not going to automatically say, oh, that's Bessy, because it's not my name. But I, as the front face of the company, I represent the brand And so I'm going to be in charge of making sure that the content that gets put out, the logos that go out, the colors that we choose, the emotion and the trust that we build to our ideal audience is, as close as possible to what we want it to represent. So, like I said, right now there's a lot of business owners that are starting a new business. And for some of them, it's kind of scary because they don't know where to start. And I always say, first start from your why, because ultimately your why is going to project the message that you want to give to your ideal clients. Your why is going to portray the message, is going to allow you to choose all these other small nitty gritty things, to when, as you grow your business. There's an amazing quote by a gentleman called Seth Godin, I probably botched that. And it's, a brand is a set of expectations, memories, stories, and relationships that take together account for consumers' decision to choose one service over the other. So when you sit down and you think, okay, who am I? You've already established yourself as a brand. The moment that you have identified or are in the process of identifying who you are, whether you're an influencer or a blogger or a business owner, you are now your brand. You are now putting information out on social media platforms, and people are going to know who you are for what you represent. Now, how do you represent? You need to know your why. So why is it that you do what you do? Why does the sun come out? Why are you sitting here and listening to me and not other than somebody else? There is something about this particular platform, which is the Project Beauty platform, that you hold very near and dear to you. Whether it's because you've met Jo and her awesome team, or you've been part of an event or fundraiser that they have hosted, and so they have their own brand. They know their why. So with their why and who it is that they're trying to reach to, they're going to convey their messages in that particular way. So brands can really just be the minute that you show up on social media. And a lot of the times the social media platforms that we hear way differently. And again, it goes back to your why and what the message is. Once you figure out why it is that you're doing what you're doing, and who you're trying to relay this message to, also think about what bases are you covering? What solution are you bringing to the table? Because they're going to feel connected to you, because they are going to feel that you are knowledgeable with that information, and that's why they come to you. That's why they trust your brand. And so you've covered a basis of them emotionally, and that's why they come to you. So one of the things that as consumers, because we're all consumers, even though we're brands, we also consume. Whether it's we go to the grocery store and we buy milk, we choose one product over the other. And why? It's because we have some sort of emotional connection, whether it's because it's a healthier version, and that is our goal, or it is because our emotional connection is the finance behind it. It's cheaper one brand than the other. So when you figure out who it is that you are speaking to, what it is that you bring to the table to help them with a problem, and it's not necessarily a problem, it's just something that you're able to facilitate for them, then they'll come to you, and because you'll be the person that has all the information, you know it all. So a lot of the times, I think, too, the misconception, like I said at the beginning, that brands are bigger organizations, and it can become very intimidating and very overwhelming. So social media, it was created exactly for that, to be social. So the thing that with social media way back when, and I can tell you, I will probably give you a little bit clue of what my age is, back on MySpace. MySpace was one of the first platforms for social media. And social media was basically, or that particular platform was brought into place so that people could connect with their friends, with their families, because we all have lives, and sometimes a phone number gets lost, we move around a lot, but we always have one way to connect that doesn't change, it just evolves. And that is the world of the internet. Now, it has grown from there. From there, the world pivoted into Facebook and is more familiar with Facebook. And then there's Instagram. Now, for the professionals, there's LinkedIn. And now there's the TikTok craze. Now, the moment you step in to any of these platforms, whether it's as yourself, you are identifying to the world that you represent yourself and that you are your own brand. You speak for yourself. So people are going to come and turn to you for if you represent health and beauty. And that's what you share with people. You share with them your daily life of how you stay fit and what you consume and what you feed your family. They will continue coming to you because there is something in any of those content that they feel a connection to. And so now there's LinkedIn. LinkedIn is known for its being professional, the professional platform. So you're still a brand when you show up there, only you're going to show up differently than you would probably on TikTok, because again, each of those have different communities. But at the same time, you also have to think of it as, how are you representing yourself? Imagine going to an interview and you go interview to a Fortune 500 company. The 500 company is called LinkedIn. You have your resume in hand. They usually tell you to bring 3, but you're wearing a t-shirt and jeans. Now, what do you think they are going to think of you? Your resume may look amazing. You may have absolutely all the qualifications, all those check boxes marked off, but how you represented yourself visually is not what they were looking for. Now, you're the same thing, but you turn around and you come to Instagram. And on Instagram, you still show up, for that same interview, but you're wearing a blouse and you're wearing flip-flops and you're wearing a skirt. Now on Instagram, it's more laid back. So you're going to give the same information and it's probably going to be more acceptable on Instagram because that is the vibe that's going on there. Now, brand is something that you really make of what you want. What is it that you want to represent? Do you want to represent somebody that's chic? All right, then write it down. At the beginning of the year, actually, let's rewind a little bit further back. Towards the end of 2019, there was a big craze over mood boards or vision boards. And right now, if you are just now starting a business or thinking about becoming a blogger or an influencer, or you're thinking of rebranding yourself, which all that means is you are pivoting from where you currently are now and you're just kind of changing based on the things that you have done. What now your vision is even more defined. So some organizations, some people decide to do a rebrand, and that's perfectly fine and that's perfectly normal. Those mood boards are going to be a perfect place for you to write down exactly what it is that you want, what it is that you're trying to represent, who it is that you're trying to target, and what your message is. So another part of branding is your colors. Now, I can tell you that when I first started my photography business, when somebody said, show up to your headshots wearing your brand colors, I had no idea what they were talking about. I honestly had no clue what that meant. I knew what brand meant, but I did not know what brand colors were until I went through the whole process. And what that really just means is, like I said, just like there are companies that have logos, your brand colors also speak for themselves. They represent an emotion. So I could break it down for you, but quite honestly, guys, it's not anything out of the ordinary. You could really Google, colors that create emotion. And when you've already written down what it is that you're wanting, who it is that you're serving, and your message, all of those colors are not colors that we as people like. Because I can tell you, I am a rose gold girl. Rose gold all the way. I wasn't like that though before. I've transitioned. But my brand colors are not rose gold. My brand colors, primary colors, are like a foresty green, like a peachy pink, black, white. And what that represents is my client. My client is sophisticated and chic, and she's female. And so I chose my colors based on my client. So who's your client? Who is your brand aiming to get a glimpse of? I specifically, actually, these are one of my favorite shirts. It's called, I know it's probably backwards on your screen, but it says Candy and Cones. And the name probably tells you a little bit about who they are. They are a small ice cream shop and candy shop inside of a Hilton hotel in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My family and I took a trip a few years ago, and this is one of their shirts. So what are they representing with this? Fun, colorful, exciting. They chose this color for a specific reason, not because that's their favorite color, but because this represents the people that they want to attract, the people that are fun, that are colorful. So if you walk into their shop is exactly that. It's big colors, bold colors, flavors of all kinds, and that's what they're gonna attract. That brand has come up with not just their colors, but the emotional attachment to who it is that they want. So every time they post something on social media and I see this logo, I know exactly who they are. Not only that, but I've personally experienced them myself. And so their colors are going to, attract me. I'm like, hey, I know them. So I know I'm gonna, if they have a sale, that they're going to be the ones that I click to first versus, maybe some other place, because that's leading into, I don't have trust with them. So as a brand, in order to be able to gain your followers or have people know who you are or get to know your logo and your colors, you have to build trust. So how do you build trust on social media? You show up. You show up every single day and you share. Right now, the biggest word that I have heard is pivot. Now, pivot to me was always a mindset, changing your perspective. But right now, through these COVID-19 times, pivoting just means adjusting to our current situation. Nobody has ever gone through what we're going through. Our global nation has never experienced what we are currently experiencing, and has gone, and some of them aren't open. Us here in Texas, we all have already started our phases to reopen, but there are parts of this nation that have not. There's parts of this world that have chosen not to yet. So brands are pivoting to that need right now. Think back of a time of a commercial. Let's say car commercial, because that's probably one of the biggest ones that I've seen so far. Car industries, they are used to people coming in person to person, customer face-to-face experiences. Now that COVID-19 has hit us, they can no longer give that experience. So they had to pivot, still providing the same message of buy our vehicle, to saying we understand what you are going through because we also have team members that are going through. Please know that we are going to do our part by pushing your payments back 3 months, 6 months. Or if you currently have a vehicle now, we will also be pushing your payments 3 months, 6 months. That is pivoting. That is making of what our time is in the situation that you're currently in and making it best for your customers so they can continue showing up for you, so that you can continue building trust, and so that they can continue telling other people about you. Does brand colors matter if you're an actor, when you're branding yourself to others? Yes. There are actors that don't do everything. There are actors that don't want to do Broadway and only want to do indie films. There are actors that only want to do musicals, that don't want to do Hollywood. So even your brand colors are who you are and what you represent. Now it may be a little bit different, because if you're just first starting out, I know I could tell you for myself, when they first told me to show up with my brand colors for my first headshots and I had no clue what it was, I was also shooting everything under the sun. I was doing newborns, I was doing maternities, I was doing weddings, I was doing everything, but I quickly in the process learned I don't want to do everything. It was an amazing experience because I got to be able to build my portfolio, and I got to be able to get to know who my ideal client would be. And with that in mind is when I started to pivot and I started to narrow down who specifically I wanted to work with. And so with that in mind, that is when I chose my colors. And my colors in my photography are white. They're very natural colors, like a pastel looking, like a teal blue, like a teal blue, very soft. There's whites, there's grays. And it's why, because my ideal client on that side conveys nurture, conveys, wanting building trust, very, very soft. And so, yes, even as an actor, you have brand colors. Now, it's going to change for every industry. Industries that you may not see a brand color for may be healthcare workers. But if you work for a healthcare organization like Texas Health, Baylor, I'm trying to think who else. I can't think of anybody else. They all have their own brand colors. So they're all the healthcare, but they have different colors. Now, one color they will always have in common, blue is very identified as trust. So think, other companies such as insurance companies have blue, if you'll notice. And that's because blue is known for its trust. It conveys trust. So you'll see a lot of other companies, IBM, they have blue, trust. That's what they want. And so that's the colors they're going to use. What emotion you're trying to portray as your own brand identity. Like I said, I would definitely Google them because there is a lot of them. There's also surveys and questionnaires that you can fill out based on they'll ask you some questions and they'll kind of put together something that would be your brand color. So I would definitely look into that. If you do have more questions once you do that and you want to come and reach out to me, by all means, I'm here for you. And so like I was saying, your connection right now with your audience is going to scale immensely. When I say consistency, I don't mean show up 365 days a year. Not everybody's comfortable showing up 365 days a year. I understand that. But imagine your best friend not being there for you 365 days. What do you think that relationship, how it would go 6 months from now? Do you think your best friend, even though you're best friend and they understand you and they trust you and they would give the world to you, what do you think that business, that relationship would happen? The same thing with your brand. If you are not consistent with showing up to your audience, how do you expect them to show up for you? Another thing too about your brands is, and I might get a lot of slack for this, guys, but I'm not the only one out there that sees it this way. Your numbers don't define your brand. If you have 10,000 followers, good for you. That means you're consistent. That means your content was probably amazing. Perfect. But make sure you show up for them because they may start dropping on numbers. Just because they're there does not mean they'll always be there. So be consistent. If you are like me, you can go on my platform. I have close to 300 followers for two reasons. One, the social media marketing agency on Instagram and on Facebook in real time, as in when I decided to create it, has only been about 6 months. But I rebranded myself 6 months ago. I used to be known as Ella Media, which meant for her, because I wanted the business that was who it was for. That was my ideal audience, was her, the female entrepreneur. The problem I came across is that unless you speak Spanish, you don't know what Ella is. Or if you saw it, which was ELLA, you didn't know how to pronunciate it, much less the word you're going to understand. So I had to clarify it was what I wanted, but is it what my audience is going to understand whenever they see my name? Probably not. So it was a hard pill to swallow, but I had to understand ultimately, again, my why. Why am I doing this? Who am I serving? What is it, that I bring to the table that is going to serve my audience, and I'm going to help with a problem that they might have. Social media is not easy, guys. And that's telling it from somebody that does this for a living. I create content. I hold people accountable. And it's not easy because I also have a family. So if you can kind of probably see behind me, I'm actually in my son's bedroom. And as a business owner, or even just a brand, when you're creating things and you're trying to get your name out there and you're trying to raise those numbers and at the same time have a life, whether you still work 9 to 5 or, you're trying to bring revenue in, social media can be really hard. Absolutely. Absolutely. It is not easy whatsoever, but you'll find the flow of things. You will find the flow of things. Again, I cannot reiterate, and you'll hear it over and over and over from me, that if you don't know what your why is, you'll never know who you're serving. And you'll never be able to find out what problem you can solve for them and how to build that trust and how to grow your numbers. So it's one of those like really weird domino effects that if you don't have one, you're kind of missing a piece around there. Branding is not any different. Branding is actually more narrowed down to the whole realm of social media. So if you're thinking about it, if you are currently a person that is thinking about doing or starting a business or becoming your own brand, meaning you're an influencer, you're wanting to be a blogger, you're wanting to be a copywriter, these are like all individual type of areas or industries, if you want to call it. Do it now. Right now's the time. Don't think that anything has to be perfect, because I guarantee nobody's got their stuff together. Right now, you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, because we did not know what was going to happen 2 months ago. But right now, I can tell you social media has grown 70%. Guys, 70% in the last 2 months because of COVID. And is it scary? Yes. Do you need confidence? No. You will gain confidence. You will gain trust. You will gain followers. Therefore, you will make money. So, everybody's here to make money, right? A brand can actually make money, whether it's for themselves or to give back to the community. You're still receiving something. And yes, we can all do that, whether we are our own brand, or we are the face of an organization and embrace that brand and represent that brand. We can absolutely monetize in that. So how do you monetize? How do we make money here, right? YouTube, Facebook and Instagram ads, workshops, videos, commercials. If you're a coach, some sort of coach, fitness coach, myself, social media and brand coach, membership. If your brand, offers products. If you are a product-based business, even the MLMs, which are the ones that are tiers and stuff, even though they work for an organization, each person is their own brand. But they have to just stay within the guidelines of that organization for the products or services that they offer. But they're still their own brand. How many times have you hopped onto an Instagram, somebody's Instagram post, and you're trying to figure out what it is that they do? Because they don't write it on their bio. They just basically say, hey, I'm a mama of 3, out here making a living, raising 2 babies, trying to spread peace and love everywhere I go. That is their brand. That is what they do. They're not tied down to anything. That's who they are. They're here to spread joy. So every post that you see is them laughing or with their family, or, occasionally they'll show you probably what they do for a living, but they probably work for somebody else, but they represent themselves. So when they write their bios, that's what they're going to write. They're going to write what they represent. And who do they connect with? They probably connect with other parents because they're parents themselves. They probably connect with people that are, looking to find joy and peace and happiness in life. That's what their bio is going to say. That's what they're going to connect. So they have a clear definition of who their audience is. And that's how they monetize. They have their job, unless they write on there, hey, CEO of XYZ, then they'll tell you. But even if they own, for instance, I have a personal page too. And on my personal page, I do share on my bio. It says that I have 2 businesses and what those businesses are, but I branded myself on my personal as a mompreneur, inspirational mompreneur. Why? Because when I sat down and I wanted to do this personal page, I did it for people to understand that you can still be a business owner, you can still be a mom, you can still run, 6, whatever it is, have a family, travel the world, live life. Is it perfect? Nope. But still be able to, keep it together and I choose joy, and how can I help you share that with you and tell you it's going to be okay, and I'm going to motivate you, and I'm going to push you. I'm not going to sell you anything, because that's not my thing. On my personal, I tell you about my stuff. If I don't sell you anything, I just inform you, hey, these are the things that I use for my life. This is what I use for my hair. Why? And this is how I motivate you. Why? That's my audience. Now on my business page, it's different, because my business page is different and it's targeted for different people. It is for my ideal clients. So I'm going to share what I need to share on there. And that is my brand. Even just showing up and taking a picture, a selfie, and saying, guys, I want to share this with you. Connect with people. Your brand needs to connect. That is how you're going to monetize. That's how people are going to build trust. And I guarantee that if they don't know, well, no, let me say this. If they don't buy from you now, they may know somebody that will, or they may need you down the line. You have to build that trust. You have to maintain that trust. And there are so many ways you can do it. I'll tell you the first number one way: be a human. We are humans. We're an emotional people. We see the world differently. There's something about us that's different than the next person, than our neighbors. Share that. That's how you build your brand. That's how you get people familiar with your colors. That's how people build trust with the services and products that you offer, or the words that you inspire, or, whatever the case might be. That is your brand. Build that trust. And if you've already started, continue nourishing it. Your consumers are like plants. You need to water them. You need to nourish them. You need to make sure that you allow light to come to them so they can grow. Because we're not robots. We're not machines. If not, machines would be the ones that are brands and are staring at you and telling you about the things that they have to offer. We're humans. So whether you are a person representing a brand or you are your own brand, connect with people. And only connect in ways that only you can. That's really it. What makes you different than your next door neighbor? You make your brand different. You can have the same colors. You guys could be doing the exact same, product or service. You guys might even be in the same circle. But I guarantee your brand is going to shine because you never stopped being you. You never stopped being loyal to those you serve. You never stopped helping and serving and, what's the word? I keep losing the word. I'm sorry. You never stopped putting in to the needs of others. And that's one thing I tell my clients. Take yourself out of the equation. Once you take yourself out of the equation, you will see the world differently. You will know who your people are. You will know what you're trying to do for others. And you'll make money off of it because you know who you are and they know who you are and they identify with you. So, I could really get into like I said, I'm one of those, you get me started talking and I am just nonstop when it comes to social media and branding because there's so much going on, so much. So a few things I wanted to also share with you guys on how to be able to leverage your brand. Like I said, build your trust. Make sure that your target audience knows who you are. Create that environment for them. Create that connection. And it's about an experience. Why do people shop at Walmart and don't shop at Target and vice versa? It's about the experience. And I'm almost certain that some carry things that the other one doesn't either. But they're both in retail. They're both in food. But why? They aim at different people. I can tell you a couple celebrities. How many of you guys follow the Kardashians? They're a brand. The Kardashians. But Khloe, Kim, Kylie, Kendall, each of them are their own brands. Together, they're one brand. But they've broken out because individually they are different brands. Why is it that some of you guys follow them and don't follow Sandra Bullock? Why? It's a different audience. They portray something differently. If, wanting to be a blogger or an influencer is something that you want to do, define who your audience is. And that's how you're going to define your brand. I always say too, stay true who you are. Stay true to you, because the minute you lose focus on that, you will confuse people and you will lose audiences. There's nothing wrong with sitting down and writing everything on a piece of paper, or if it's on your phone, write it down on your phone. But show up. And I will tell you, people always ask, when I show up online, what's easier or what's better? Videos or pictures? Videos usually do better, but people have a tendency of only paying attention for the last 7 seconds of your video. So that's when you have to actually grasp them. So when you identify what your brand is, that is how you are going to want to market yourself. And marketing is just informing. Marketing isn't this like, oh my gosh, like commercials and newspaper. No, it's just informing. How are you relaying your message? How are you relaying your information to the people outside of your walls? That's what marketing is. Marketing is just sharing with others who you are, what you do, what you represent, what that emotional connection is, so on and so forth. And how you do it and how you portray it is the market style or the market type that you're going to be able to do it. So honestly, guys, social media is just really the vehicle of how your brand, where what you're going to use for your brand to get there. So social media platform is in real time for the most part. So that is why information gets to you quicker than maybe through a newspaper or an email, a newsletter, even commercials. But your brand is something that is going to always be there. You just may change it here and there when you start really focusing in and diving into who you are most excited about, more passionate about serving. And when I say serve, it's because we are here to serve somebody. Money does come from us serving people. So imagine us being servers at a restaurant. You get tips, right? Based on your service. Because I guarantee sometimes if you go and they messed up in the kitchen, but you gave an amazing service and you did everything you could, I'd say maybe 9 out of 10 times the people are gonna understand, and they're still gonna tip you. They're still gonna pay you for your services because you served them and you served them well, and you showed up and you were on top of it, and you asked, you answered their questions, and you asked them questions to help you be better at something. That's what I mean by serving. Money comes when you serve and you know who you serve and you represent your brand well because you know who you're serving. A lot of coaches will tell you that until you know who you are, and this is like life coaches too, until you know who you are, you can't fix what's wrong, right? Or, you can't move on and grow from who you currently are if you don't know what's causing all of these XYZ things, right? The same thing is with the businesses and brands. Until you know who you serve, until you know why you serve them and how you can help them, and you know who you're passionate about serving, money's not going to come. You're not going to get paid. People are going to be confused. So that is why I say take yourself out of the equation. It is not about you. It is about the people on the other side of that screen. How are you representing them? How are you connecting with them? How are you making them feel like they are the only person that you're here for? Even if you have 15,000 followers, make sure that those 15,000 followers feel like they're the only person in the room. If you have 12 followers, make those 12 people feel like they are the only person in the room. And I guarantee they will know your name. They will know of your brand. They will know who to trust. And they'll be there forever and ever. So right now, I want you to pivot that mindset of yours to thinking that this is a racing game. It's not. It's about longevity. Do you want your brand to stay and withstand future pandemics, future financial crises, future unfortunate anything? Then you need to start investing in your brand now. If that means you need to go back to the drawing board, go back to the drawing board. There's nothing wrong with it. Businesses do it all the time. But think about how you are going to stay in people's mind longer for years to come. And if that happens, that means you have built trust. And if you're not there yet, work on it. You got this. You totally got this. Let nobody tell you otherwise. I will be the first one to tell you it can be done. Only you need to put in the work. Nobody can do it for you. Even social media managers. Heck, I do it too. But I can't represent the brand as well as my clients can. So what do? Is I teach them. And I say, I will ease the time constraint of, posting for you. But sit down with me. Let's talk this out, because nobody can represent you but you. So I thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a blast. It's been a whirlwind of a couple of weeks. You can find me guys here on Instagram and on Facebook. It's SoCo, and that's SOCOHQ. Reach out to me, send me a DM. I am here to serve you guys. I'm here to hopefully have placed some ideas in you, some motivation, some inspiration, because that's what my brand represents. My brand is all about create, motivate, and empower. And it's like my slogan is created by passion, inspired by you, because I feel that the people that I serve are the reason why I wake up every day, the reason I put one step forward, the reason why I put all the work, almost 7 days a week, to be honest. But I'm consistent, and my people know that. So show up, guys. Show up for yourself above all, and show up for your people. Show up for your brand, and you will see so many amazing things happen. Patience is the key, as always. Patience, consistency, and clarity. All right, guys. Thank you so much again, Joe, for having me on here, and the team for all of their marketing efforts leading up to tonight. I hope you guys come back for the next Good Vibes Sunday. We'll be jamming out and having a dance fest. And so I hope to see you guys soon. And as always, I will see you guys on the social. Have a wonderful weekend. Have a wonderful evening, and have a blessed week, guys. Take care. Bye.